Welcome to this lab video. It's a short lab video, but important one, because here we have shown you how to perform a wet etching. Suppose you have a metal deposited onto a wafer and you want to etch the wafer, how to use etchant for that particular metal. You can also use wet etching if it is a silicon dioxide. For example, if you want to etch silicon dioxide, you can use buffer hydrofluoric acid or BHF. So, depending on what kind of material that you are depositing, you can use wet etching technique. The wet etching, if there is a acid, there is a acid bench, if there is solvent, there is a solvent bench. For every time when you use a wet etching technique, it follows by rinsing it with deionized water and drying it with nitrogen air. So, enjoy the lab video. Have any questions, feel free to ask us on the NPTEL forum, and we will be very happy to reply to your queries and questions.
Hello and welcome back to another TA session. Today we will be working on the wet bench. So wet bench can be used for multiple purposes like solvent cleaning, acid cleaning, etching, as well as lift off. So today we will be starting first with the solvent cleaning. So the importance of solvent cleaning is before moving to any further steps. For example, we might have deposited some material and now we want to go for lithography. So meanwhile, it might happen that there will be some dust particles or some contaminants that are coming on your coming and sitting on your sample. And if these dust particles or particulate matter what you have, if it is in if the dimension of these particles are same as that of your critical dimension, then your lithography process might fail. So it's a very good practice that you do a solvent cleaning before moving to lithography. So the advantage is over of solvent cleaning over other methods is it does not remove your most of the metal thin films like metals and dielectrics. So to start with, first and foremost important thing is to wear the PPE. Right now I am wearing my clean room gown as well as my hairnet, mask and gloves, but this is for general purpose. When you are dealing with chemicals, depending upon the potency of chemicals or the hazard of the chemical, you might need specialized PPEs. So today for solvent cleaning we will be dealing with acetone, isopropyl alcohol. When we are dealing with acetone and IPA, the required PPEs are a face shield and a gown and an extra set of gloves. I am already wearing an extra set of gloves, so only thing left to do is wear the apron as well as the face shield. So here we have our apron. And our face shield. Once I am ready with my PPE, now I can move to my wet bench and start the process. So here, as you can see, I have my sample, which is basically a glass wafer, a 4-inch glass wafer, which we have coated with aluminium using thermal deposition. So we will be doing a solvent cleaning on this, and then we will move for lithography. So the first step is to make sure you have all the chemicals that you need. So for my solvent cleaning, I'll be using acetone, isopropyl alcohol, and then to wash off this isopropyl alcohol, I'll be using distilled water, deionized water. Okay, so let me keep my sample aside, and I'll pour the chemicals. So make sure that the chemical which you are using, the quantity of chemicals that you're using, it's just enough so that your sample is completely submerged inside. If a part of your sample is not like floating outside or not properly submerged, it is possible that the cleaning won't be proper and you will have some contamination left. So now I'll take my sample using this tweezer, and with the support of my hand, I'll dip it in acetone. Once it is completely dipped, I'll start agitating it so that the cleaning is proper. I'll continue this for about 2 minutes, and then we will move to IPA. So we have agitated it for 2 minutes. Now now we will move the sample from acetone to IPA. That is the isopropyl alcohol or isopropanol. Again, we will continue this agitation in IPA for 2 minutes, and then we'll move to DI water. Now 2 minutes are over. Now we will move from IPA to DI water and keep on agitating it for 1 minute, and then we will wash it off again. Okay, now after washing it for some time in DI water, I'll take it out and wash it with running DI water. This ensures that any residual IPA or acetone that I might have on my sample is completely washed away. Now once that is done, I will be blow drying it with nitrogen. Now after washing my sample with DI water, I have ensured that there are no traces of acetone and IPA. Now I'll blow dry with nitrogen. Now, on visual inspection, my sample looks dry, but it is possible that there still might be some moisture. So, the next process, before going to the next process, we will be, the first step would be to keep it on a dehydration bake, where we will use a hot plate to heat our heat our sample at an elevated temperature for a few minutes, which will ensure that all the moisture is dried up.
Earlier in the previous video, one of my colleagues, one of the TAs, has already taught you how to do solvent cleaning of a sample before doing any kind of process. So today we'll do etching of gold, and we'll see what all etchants are used and how the process goes. So first and foremost requirement of using acid and solvent benches is wearing a proper PPE kit. For that, I have already worn an acid resistant apron, and I have wore 2 pairs of gloves so that if any chemical spills happen, it won't affect my hands, or it won't affect my skin. Also, one more thing, for safety measures, we should not replace or exchange glasswares of acid and solvent, because acid and solvent doesn't go hand in hand, and it can give an exothermic reaction, and that may lead to fire hazard. So the ideal practice is we should keep separate glasswares for acid and solvent benches. Today the demonstration will be on acid bench, so I have separate glasswares for the acid bench and for the process which I'll be going through. Today we'll be doing gold etching. So for that I need gold etchant, which is potassium iodide and iodine solution. So I have prepared saturated potassium iodide in DI water, and I have put one crystal of iodine into it. So it has become a etchant for gold. And now we'll have a closer look and we'll see how the gold etching will work. Before having the closer look, I should cover my face. So for that I'll use a face shield, and that will complete my PPE except the gloves which are acid resistant, which I'll be wearing once we have a closer look onto the wet bench. So before handling any chemical, I should wear one more set of gloves. Those are thick nitrile gloves, and they are very much chemical resistant. We may call it as MAPA gloves. So these green color gloves are those which I'll be wearing. This blue color gloves are thin nitrile and they are very less chemical resistant. Already I have worn two set of gloves on my hand, and on top of it I'll wear these gloves as well. So ideally you should not touch the fingers and the hand part because this gloves may be contaminated. So while wearing I'll take care that I will not touch any fingers or the hand area in the glove. So yeah, I have put on my gloves, and now we can look forward with the solution which I'll be using for gold etching. So I have already prepared this gold etchant solution. It is potassium iodide saturated in DI water and one crystal of iodine. So this is a dark brown color solution, as you can see. Now it's time to pour this solution into the petri dish. So I'll take a small amount such that my sample dips into my etchant solution. And I have my sample in this petri dish. This is a gold coated sample. I have coated 200 nanometers of gold onto it. So this is a glass wafer and I have coated gold onto it. And one more thing, as you might be seeing, this is a plastic tweezer. So when we are dealing with acids, we should ideally use plastic tweezers because metal may corrode when we are dealing with acid. So I am using this plastic or polymer based tweezers. So I'll just put this, before putting it, this is a timed etch. So how much ever my thickness is, it will etch for that much amount of time. So the ideal etching rate is 0.5 micron per minute. So I have 200 nanometers of film, so it will take about 30 seconds to etch, and that I can visually see when my sample will be inside the gold etchant. So I am putting the gold sample inside the gold etchant, and I'll start agitating it so that it covers the etchant comes over the sample, and I'll agitate for 30 seconds. Now let's see what is the result, and we'll take out the sample. It's already 30 seconds, so we'll have a look what the samples look like. So yeah, some gold is still there. I'll put it for 10 more seconds and our gold etching will be done. So I'm putting it for 10 more seconds and I think it's done. Now we'll put the sample in DI water so that the gold etchant will wash out. So I'm putting in the DI water. This petri dish I have already filled with DI water, and I'll just agitate. I'll just clean this. So as you can see, the sample which was yellowish in color because of gold, now it has turned silverish because we have coated titanium onto it for the addition of gold with respect to the glass wafer. Now to remove this DI water, I'll use the blow dry nitrogen gun to make it dry. So I'll go to the nitrogen gun and we'll have a closer look of the nitrogen gun as well. Now before using any touching any other thing, I should remove my contaminated gloves, and I should not touch I should not touch the contaminated part. So I'll carefully remove my gloves and I'm ensuring that I'm not touching any contaminated part. And again, this can go for one more DI water rinse before I put it for blow dry. So I have taken the sample out of my DI water and we'll give it a blow dry. Yeah, so this is the nitrogen gun. It contains high pressure nitrogen, and I'll blow dry to remove all my water particles or water droplets from my substrate. So this completes my gold etching. I'll place back the sample onto my petri dish, and now I can take it for further process if required. So this is all for etching. Now we'll have another session where we'll give a demo of lift off. Lift off is one of the different technique from conventional lithography. So what happens in conventional lithography is we first coat a metal or we deposit a metal, and to pattern that metal we do photolithography wherein we pattern photoresist. So we first coat photoresist, then with the help of photo mask, we place the photo mask on top of the coated wafer, and then we expose it with UV. So wherever the opaque regions are there in the mask, the light will not pass, and through the transparent region the light will pass, and the properties of photoresist will change. And when this photoresist coated wafer, when we develop it, wherever the light has exposed, wherever the chemical reaction has started, that part will dissolve and we'll get the pattern of the mask onto the photoresist. So now we have a layer wherein we have the substrate. On top of that we have blanket deposition, or everywhere there is a metal, and on top of that we have some patterns of photoresist wherein somewhere photoresist is present, on some region photoresist is not present. And when we go for etching of those of that substrate, then what happens? The etchant will only target the regions wherein photoresist is not present or wherein metal is exposed. So wherever the metal is exposed, that region will etch out, and then the patterns of photoresist is transferred to the metals, and then that photoresist we can strip off using acetone. However, in the lift off, what happens is we first do the lithographic, wherein we first coat the wafer with photoresist, then we put a mask, shine light. So wherever there is a opaque region, the light will not pass, and wherever there is transparent region, light will pass. Again, the chemical reaction will happen. So once we develop, what happens? Wherever the light was exposed or light shine, that part will dissolve, and we'll have a patterns of we'll get the patterns on photoresist. Now we have a substrate wherein in some region there is photoresist, in some region there is it is a plain wafer. Now this wafer we put for deposition, wherein a thin layer of metal is deposited. So we'll have a substrate. On top of that, somewhere there is photoresist, somewhere it is plain wafer, and on top of that we have a blanket deposition of metal. This lift-off technique is used when we don't have etchant to etch the metal. So what will happen when we put this substrate or this wafer into acetone? Acetone is a photoresist stripper. So what acetone will go inside the metal, and it will take out the photoresist. So when it takes out the photoresist, it will automatically take out the metal will also come out along with the photoresist. So in that way, we are patterning our metal with respect to our photoresist, pattern photoresist, and that's how we get the pattern. So these are the two techniques. One is the conventional lithography, and another is the lift-off, to create patterns on your additive layer, metal or any oxide layer. So now we'll have a closer look of the tool which we'll be using, and how we'll carry forward our lift-off process. Before I start any process and start handling the solvent bench, again I'll have to wear this chemical resistant apron, and one set of gloves is enough, because here we are dealing with solvent. So if anything falls, if the skin is exposed, as such nothing will happen, but I should cover my face. So again I'll wear the face shield. And for the lift-off technique, as I've told you, that acetone should go inside the metal and search for the photoresist, and along with the photoresist, the metal will come out. So to do, the acetone should go inside the metal. For that we need a higher agitation, and that higher agitation is provided with the help of ultrasonic bath. So it has an ultrasound frequency, and the water which is kept inside this bath, the frequency will be applied to that water, and that water will start shaking sort of, it will agitate, and that will agitate my acetone which is kept inside a petri dish, and that's how the acetone will reach the photoresist, and the photoresist along with the metal will come out. Now we'll have a closer look of this machine, and we'll see how we'll start the process. So I have my wafer into this petri dish. I'll put acetone and fully cover this wafer with the acetone. Once I do that, I'll switch on this, and I'll place this petri dish into the water. We'll have the closer look of this process and see how how the agitation is happening. So this acetone is getting agitated, and you can see the photoresist was present here, and it has started coming out along with the metal on top of it. So as you can see, the patterns are is visible now. So I'll just make sure that this petri dish is parallel, and you can see small metal chunks, particles that has come out from as we were agitating this acetone. So I feel this is almost done. Now I'll transfer the wafer to IPA, IPA, and clean the wafer using IPA. I'll stop this. So I have stopped the equipment, and I have taken out the petri dish. Now, as we have seen, some small metaparticles were floating around. So I want to clean it. So again, I'll put IPA in another petri dish. And I'll transfer this wafer into the petri dish where I have kept the IPA, and again I'll do the same process for cleaning the wafer. Now the part which was there for the lift off is done. This is now just cleaning. So again the same thing will happen, wherein the water will agitate as IPA, and my wafer will get clean. So I'll wait for a couple of seconds, 30 seconds or so, because I just need the extra metal particles to go out, and we'll be done. So I feel we are done. So I'll stop the tool, and I'll take this out. And one last step will be to put it in DI water and blow dry the wafer to take out the water droplets. Now the wafer was in IPA. I'll transfer it to DI water to give a final rinse. I'll give some amount of agitation just to get rid of any contaminants or the metal particles. And I'll take it out. And now I'll give the blow dry, nitrogen blow dry, so as to the water droplets which are there on the wafer will go away. And now this is my final wafer, wherein my lithography pattern has really come up well onto my metal thin film. So with this, I'll place back the wafer again to my original petri dish from where I took out my wafer. So as to take it for further processing. And this ends the wet bench session with first part of solvent cleaning, wherein before any step or before lithography, the solvent cleaning which is done, that is shown in the first part. In second part, we have seen the gold etching, wherein using conventional lithography, how will pattern the metal using a metal etchant. So we have used the gold etchant to etch the gold. And in third part, we have seen if we don't have etchant to etch the metal, then how we can pattern the metal with the help of lift off. So this ends the wet bench session. And that's all for today's lab demo. Thank you.